Welcome to my live stream live from Bangkok, Thailand, where I now live. The top story today is about mainstream bias against men. Can you believe that? One of many reasons why this channel exists. We'll go to California for this one. Then we'll going to talk about a man who we won't see on camera, but his wife will make him the real man of the week in my weekly segment. Then we're going to review a very rare profile on a dating. There's a real profile on a dating app that for some reason has absolutely no red flags. And I have a feeling why that is. There's a little caveat that I will explain in a second. And then the comment of the day, we will once again talk about American men and what have become of them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Of course, I will take any questions or comments from the live chat. So if you are watching me live, don't be shy, definitely participate. So the top story today is about bias against men in the mainstream media. And you know, falsely accusing men of sexual harassment and sexual assault is no longer a national pastime of just modern women. Uh, KTLA, a Los Angeles news station that's pretty popular, wants to jump right on the bandwagon. They've posted this story yesterday, essentially doing just that. Woman sexually assaulted in West Hollywood by a man. And then the article proceeds to talk about no, what do you call those? Evidence whatsoever of that happening. As a matter of fact, the article describes that a man and a woman met on a dating app and then in person. They don't talk about how late she was for that date, but they spent a few hours together, according to this article, and then went to a hotel room willingly. And on the first date, when a man and a woman go to a hotel room, there's only one reason for that. Yeah, right? And then apparently she felt right, because feelings are much more important than evidence nowadays, then the sexual assault happened. But again, no evidence whatsoever. And I've looked high and low, and I used the help of my now best friends ChatGPT to look for any other news article about this ever happening, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's Twitter page. And I found absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Now, this article was written by Travis Schlepp, who apparently schlepped through his journalistic integrity 101 class. And I know I'm not the one who should be making fun of people's last names, but nevertheless, he is a man, which I guess tells me that this is not just for women anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. This could very well be what just happened. Very well be something that really did happen, but there's absolutely no evidence of it right now whatsoever. And by the way, if you don't know, KTLA is more than capable of reporting correctly on an event like this, just like they did the other day in like 3 days ago. They have literally reported on another, unfortunately this time looks like it's a real sexual assault case, in this video where they've posted the evidence, the picture, the interviews, and the reports from the police, the interviews with the witnesses. And it happened in the middle of the dark public place where people rarely go for sexual encounters. So they absolutely know how to do that. But apparently, in this case, they accepted a homework that should have been graded at F. There is absolutely no evidence here, and this is essentially what my sort of a beef with this is, because there is no punishment for this. There is no punishment. This is the reason why women do it. This is the reason why media does it, right? They can just report this. And I know they did not name the man. uh, yet. But just the fact that they said, well, as long as a woman have her feelings hurt and she feels that this is what happened, well, then the man must be guilty, right? How many times we've seen that? And the thing is, when a woman does this, which again, in this case, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying there are no evidence of this happening, and that's the problem. That, when a woman accuses a man of a sexual assault, and if there are no evidence, the reason it goes as far as it does nowadays is because two types of entities believe her without evidence. One is a police department. A lot of times, how many times we wait for years for somebody to get acquitted? Like, we just had a story about five hockey players who got acquitted 7 years later after the accusations, where there were really no evidence. As a matter of fact, the judge who made the decision said there were absolutely no evidence in that case that this happened. That the story of a victim was, and I'm doing it in air quotes because she wasn't a victim. The victim were the men. She just happened to make a lot of money on that story because she had it settled with Hockey Canada. But the men were the victims, right? And yet the prosecutor went ahead with the trial through the mistrial, through so many things. And a second very important entity that believes women on their word is the media, right? So if the media believes it, that's when the story blows up. And that's how you ruin this men's lives. Because when it gets out on social media, but the mainstream media. And apparently there are absolutely no responsibilities whatsoever to do this. And the fact that it's a male, or usually it's a female reporter who, says, well, sure, why not? Let's accuse a man of something we have no evidence of him doing. Why not? There's no punishment. But the fact that the men did this, it's a disgrace. And I did reach out to him. I publicly reached out on he. By the way, I don't know why a reporter for social media and the web page for the KTLA does not have a very good online presence. Maybe that was a red flag for me. But I contacted him on Threads and LinkedIn publicly. And I also contacted KTLA 5 for a comment. It's been a minute and they haven't replied, which I guess, what are they going to say? Sorry, we're not doing our job. Hopefully, we'll learn our lessons. No, of course, they're not. Now, if they ever reply, I will absolutely report it back to you guys. But right now, I don't really expect them. Every time, as a matter of fact, I'm doing a story and I reach out to a company, they don't want to reply. The only time that happened was when one of the UK police departments decided to start investigating and arresting British men for catcalling, which is not illegal at all. That police department actually did reply to me, and we had a back and forth until they realized that, and they stopped talking to me. But it usually doesn't happen because nobody seems to care in the first place. In the live chat, The Rock says the goal of any media is to profit. They have to cater to women since the women are the biggest consumers, while men don't consume as much. We are materialistic while women constantly go to shops. Well, I mean, some of it we can argue, right? Because men do make the biggest purchases usually, which are the cars and houses, and even that, I'm sure, is skewing the other way around. But you're right that media is there to profit. But this all goes down to men never really taking pride and having self-respect, American men, right, in this case, and fighting back, right? It's not that hard for men to organize and say, nope, nope, you're not going to make it look like fucking idiots in the detergent commercials. And no, you're not going to report on us this way, where we all seem to be guilty all the time of sexual assault. We're not going to do that. We're going to boycott either the news station or the sponsors or the people. So, but we don't do it. As I mentioned before, the only time men have bonded together recently is because their favorite beer hired a trans person for marketing purposes, right? All of a sudden, all men got organized, Kid Rock, front row. But when we're getting our rights taken away from us legally and socially, when we essentially are made into the predators, where, the recent trend of women picking a bear over a man, though that have yet been tested, and I would love to test that one of these days. Um, Until we organize, gentlemen, we're going to be continuously guilty until proven innocent. And it's not that easy to be proven innocent when women's feelings are being used as evidence. Until then, this is going to happen over and over and over again. And I will be reporting consistently on these headlines. But if KTLA 5 decides to get back to me, I will definitely update it, but don't hold your breath. Okay? Now we're going to move on to the next segment. And this one's going to be one of my favorites today because this is a very rare story that I do. Let me make sure I set it up correctly. So, yeah, so this segment I call the real man of the week, but we won't get to see the man in the video because we're going to hear from his wife, and that's all I need to actually name him the real man of the week. And please be very, very quiet, not to spook this very rare and endangered species, which is a modern woman who is actually a good wife.
My husband came home from work. He smacked my butt. He gave me this brownie and he said it was the last one at work. I was going to have it, but then I thought you might like it. Then, giddy, he said, I'm so excited to eat your dinner tonight. I made meatloaf. He scarfed down his plate. He rubbed my shoulders. He kissed me. And then he went out to run an errand for half an hour. Whole day, turned around.
Yes, first of all, kudos to this man for marrying a girl with no tattoos, no nose rings, no boobs in your face on social media, no red or blue hair. That is very rare. And then he married a girl who cooks him dinner, it looks like every night, and waits for him to come home so she can serve it to him. And waiting for him to slap her ass and likes it. I have not heard a story like this in a long time. And I have a lot of male friends in America, in the world. So kudos to him. And then it looks like she has no problems having him to go run an errand, which it looks like she doesn't even know what. She's just like, yeah, my man's got to go to do some shit, and I'm going to sit right here and wait for him. Wow. This is a real man because he picked and married the type of a woman, and he knows how to not only get a woman like this, but to keep a woman like this. I mean, a lot of us, like myself, have to go all the way to Southeast Asia, right here where I now live, to find women like that. And even then, it's not that easy. So kudos to him. And again, kudos to him for making her understand and appreciate and do things for her where she appreciates him as a man, which again, a lot of modern women don't even know how to do anymore. Right? All right, let's quickly listen to the rest of this.
It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Just wanted to make you all jealous. Have a nice day.
Well, so here's the thing. It's not that hard when you have a right woman, right? It is much harder when you are with a modern woman who doesn't do shit. Do you understand that modern women, like, for them, it's insulting to ask them to cook you, well, anything really, but specifically dinner. It's not in their fucking heads. You know what I mean? This is why I feel so fucking sorry for Western men, because they don't even realize that the list of things that a good girlfriend and wife should be doing, and like they're like, oh no, I cannot ask this girl to cook me dinner. That would be so 1960s. Yes, bitch, we should be living in 1960s because you as a man, as a provider, right? You do live in 1960s when you're the provider and the protector and you expect to defend her with your life and all of that stuff, right? All of the stress of providing is on you. So you live in 1960s as a man, right? Why does she have to live in 2025 where she gives you nothing in return most of the time, except for that one thing that anybody can pretty much buy nowadays or get an AI get for you, right? I've just done that story. So this is very rare. Now, as you probably noticed, and I hate to say this because she is awesome, she is not a supermodel, right? And this is where also it comes down to, if you want a good wife, you are probably better off getting just a cute or average looking girl. And then in some cases, like in my case, that I will just probably upgrade her in terms of, here, honey, look at some YouTube videos and makeup tutorials, and yeah, let's get you some heels and a gym membership. But that's the reality. And I would absolutely rather, a million times over, take this girl over a gorgeous, in this case, Thai girls that we have here, that even here are absolutely useless because of how much they've been simped for and ruined by American and Western men. So this is very rare. So yes, her husband, who I never seen, I try looking for maybe him in her videos. He is the real man of the week. So now we're going to move to the next segment, where I review, which also is going to show you something very rare. I got to tell you, today is just a day of rarities here on the on my channel. So let's see. Yes, this is it. This is an extremely rare profile of a woman on a dating app in America, specifically here in San Francisco, California. There is literally nothing wrong. There are no red flags, no matter how hard I looked for in this profile anywhere. She has no tattoos in any of her pictures, or stupid nose rings, or slutty outfits. She's not posing in front of Ferrari or Lamborghini. She's not sticking her tongue out, and none of that bullshit that right away you can see in women's profile pictures that you need to swipe left on. The rest of her profile also has none of it. Everything makes her sound like she's a very nice girl who just wants to be happy, who enjoys simple things in life. She says that I like to make breakfast. I mean, that's refreshing. And everything else in this profile is just very, very nice, which raised my suspicions. How is this possible? I have featured one profile like this in what, 3 weeks of doing it, swiping on these profiles every day, looking for profiles for you guys. But here's the reason why this could just be too good to be true, because as you can see right here, it says she speaks English and Thai. So, and I living here in Thailand, I know that some women do post their profiles in other parts of the world, hoping to find a guy in America or in other countries. But on the other hand, she does have a picture right here where she is indeed in San Francisco. So I'm going to assume that this is a Thai girl who immigrated to America for some reason, because I just did the opposite, and still hasn't been corrupted by Western media and Instagram and Beyonce and Western women. So if anybody wants to snatch her up, you would be lucky, the luckiest man on earth, because men like me move here to Thailand to have access to women like her. So gentlemen, have at it. Now, I do have to say that there are some yellow flags in this profile, and they are, and again, because English is probably not her first language here, and even if it is, she uses a couple of words. She said, born and raised with love. I'm smart, cute, brave, easygoing, down to earth, caring. So, by the way, she is actually listing all of the benefits that a man is going to get when he dates her. Modern women don't fucking do that. They just put a list of shit that you need to do for her. But as far as her is concerned, there's not even part of her brain that goes like, oh, I need to offer something be beyond what's in between my legs, right? But she does put the word independent here, right? Now, it is a yellow flag, because you don't want an independent girl who doesn't need no man, right? Here in Thailand, it does mean something else, and obviously there's a language barrier and stuff like that. This could mean, and I'm assuming that's what it means in this case, is that she doesn't need her money. She is financially independent, meaning she's got a job, she's got her own place, she's got her own car if she's in America, right? Or motorbike here in Thailand, or not, or her own, subway pass. We have two different ways. We have a subway and a SkyTrain here in Bangkok, so she's good. That's what it could mean in this case. So I wish she was actually here in Thailand, and change the location so I can match with her. And she's actually pretty cute. And I know it's ironic that I live in Thailand, but I don't find that many Thai women that amazingly gorgeous, and she's definitely very cute. So this is a very pleasant surprise. As you guys know, I specifically try to look for profiles that would have some red flags, because again, a lot of guys just don't know when they absolutely need to swipe left and not right on, or even if they do swipe right and match with a girl, they still don't go over the profile and look through it. And as you remember, I even taught you guys how to use AI to figure out how expensive her clothes or her purses, or which countries she's visited, just based on the pictures that she posts, right? All of that is important. But when I see a profile like this and I go like, wow, she's cute and she has no red flags, I absolutely bring it up to your attention. Unfortunately, in 3 weeks of doing this, so what, we're talking about 15 different profiles, and probably two 300 that I had to swipe left on. This is only a second time. All right. Let me jump in back into the live chat. The Rock says AI and robots will soon replace many of the jobs. Traditional wife relies on his man providing while working, so she could be in the kitchen, or with children, or taking of the care of the house, or herself in a gym. Right? I'm just adding this. In a jobless world, should she still have to stay in the kitchen? Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that AI will make a lot of people lose their jobs. And I'll tell you why. Because that's what we thought. Well, first of all, that's what they thought during the Industrial Revolution about 100 years ago. And look, there are more jobs than ever. Then they thought that when the internet came, right? Oh my God, the computers are going to do all of this. We're not going to have people, working at checkout counters because they're going to do that, right? Well, look, we only now started having checkout counters at the stores. And guess what? They still have to have a person who is there, and they have plenty of checkout counters for people like me who actually do want a real person to do it. You know what I mean? And we also discovered that a lot of people cannot interact with this checkout computer counters that are also have not been designed very well, because you think that all these people designing these technologies are super smart. No, they're fucking dumb. I mean, Silicon Valley has nothing but dumb fucking people. If you ever use Facebook or Google, you'll see that a lot of shit that you go is like, how are you exist for 30 years? You have billions of dollars in resources, and you can't do the simple features. So because of that, we still need human beings working at the stores, stocking the store, doing customer service, and even supervising people at the very counter that we thought we would lose their jobs. So there's plenty and plenty of these jobs. And don't forget, the jobs that got created, and it's a major sector now, are the computer jobs, right? Now the people have to design it, program it, right? Post it up there, promote it, market it, and everybody needs managers and supervisors and so forth and so forth. So the jobs that we thought were going away have not really gone away, but that created so many more other jobs that we literally had to import people from India and other countries, right, into Silicon Valley, because there weren't enough people who could fill these jobs, right? Same thing with like truck drivers, right? Well, yes, truck driver jobs will go away because it's self-driving technology, and the long haul trucks are the easiest to program to drive themselves. But you know what? There will be so many jobs created in order to maintain that industry, in order to program that, in order to make and create sensors for these trucks, and to write the software for these trucks, and then create other robots that will have to help these trucks to recharge and dock. And there's just more stuff to do for the very truck driver that gets who loses his job, than we can have people for. So I don't believe that this AI is going to take our jobs. And by the way, I use AI all the time. Like, at least 50% of what you're seeing in my live stream, including the images, a lot of times has been done with the help of AI, right? I use it all the time. But I also can tell you, AI is still pretty fucking dumb. It's pretty fucking dumb. A lot of times I will ask my chat GPT what day it is today, and it won't know. It won't even know what day it is today. And you think it's going to take our jobs. It's just not going to happen. So I don't think this is a conversation. I know people are afraid, but again, those are feelings. I don't think this is a conversation we should be having anytime soon. um Do you believe middle-aged women without kids will make life miserable for other younger women because they wasted their prime years? Well, first of all, middle-aged women without kids is still an upgrade from middle-aged women with kids, right? Single mothers. But why? I don't know why it will make miserable for other younger women. I hope, and I mean, my hope is on middle-aged women without kids or with kids who are single and divorced and bitter, that they will show to the women in their 20s and sometimes in their 30s what they're going to end up with if they're going to continue their, I don't need no man bullshit type of uh, a strategy, right? If they're going to continuously require that, hey, unless my future husband is super tall and super rich, I don't want it, even though I'm an average girl who hasn't been to the gym in fucking 7 years. I rely on those women and their TikTok accounts to show the younger women where they're going to end up, and hopefully, some of them will listen and become much like the girl in the previous segment, right? So I think they might be much better help than not. Um, any girl on any dating app with no flags like her that you today reviewed will soon acquire them when she becomes damaged by the flood of male attention. That is correct. So the reason I left America was not necessarily because I thought, okay, well, there's like zero women that I can find and marry that are good, right? The reason I left America is because I know when I find one, the culture will damage her, right? There are ways to prevent it, right? There are ways to prevent it, which is integrate her into your friends and family tight circle. Live a lifestyle where she's not always constantly on social media, where her new friends are not other Western women that are going to damage her. Live in a smaller town, live in a more conservative town and a conservative state, maybe, right? I mean, yeah, if you're going to live in San Francisco, California, yeah, give her 7 seconds until she gets damaged, right? Um, so you do make a good point. However, there are ways around it. And by the way, if I was dating a Thai girl in America, you know where I would do? I would move to fucking Thailand with her, here, and I will learn Thai on top of that, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You can have your own channel, by the way, The Rock. I would miss you here in my daily live chats, but you're right on the money almost every time you say anything, so I appreciate it. Um, by the way, I don't know if you ever told me, and I'm sorry if I forgot where you are located, because this is very rare for a man who lives in America or a Western country to actually, kind of, I feel like, be on the same page with me on this. So, all right. So let's move on to the next segment. And this is the comment of the day. And I feel like we're having a lot of comments of the day like this, but this one is important. This one sentence is essentially the explanation for what is going wrong with your dating life if you are a man in a Western country like America. This user under the username Nuclear Fart 8472, apparently 8471 of them was already taken. And who wouldn't want a username like this? But he is right. He is right. He says the only reason women behave like this, like they own everything, is because, or owed everything, is because there's always a simp around the corner. Stop it, men. Boom, nailed it. 100%. Everything that's wrong with your dating life right now is because not how bad women are. I mean, they did what they were allowed, right? What you permit, you promote. And there are tons and tons of simps. We had to create a new word for this, subspecies that these men have become, right? A simp. Because simps is pretty much the majority of Western single men and married men nowadays that essentially keep this streak of bullshit going. This is where women feel like they don't want to match with men unless they're 6'2" years. They don't want to show up to the dates and don't bother telling men or run 30 minutes late to the date that's really outside of their fucking office or home, even though a man drove for fucking half an hour. This is why this is happening. And you're right, stop it. If men stop simping, like right now, the effect will be faster than of a Pepto-Bismol. Within 24 to 48 hours, women will have no choice but to go back to normal. So, do we want to do this or not? This is the question that I keep asking. But I think the answer is, who how can we tell all these men that they're simping and why it is bad? Because I've tried a lot of times, even in person, telling men, like, guys, do you understand this is not only a disservice to all of us that you're doing, collectively, but this is a disservice to you as a man. Do you understand what kind of a low quality girl you're going to get while having to be a high quality man to be with her if you're going to simp? Like, do you understand that by definition of simping, you are essentially showing a girl that you got nothing to offer except your compliments and money, and you're going to get exactly that type of a girl who only lives off of compliments and money. And guess what? There's always somebody else with more compliments and more money. I mean, how many times these guys are like, oh, my girl's cheating on me or whatever, she dumped me. Well, it happened because you only had so much to offer, which every other man has, and a lot of them have in much bigger quantities than you do, right? And why do you even want to be a beta male? Why do you want to be this pathetic where you have to give compliments and money to a girl in order to for her to be with you? If you do want to spend your money to get what you want, hire the professional service. Like, it is cheaper. It will save you so much more time than you having to actually do it naturally, just to end up with a subscription prostitute, a sugar baby, or after all. So I just don't understand why it's so difficult for men. But I also understand they were raised this way. We have a new generation, and I guess this is going on a second generation of men who were raised by single mothers, some fathers. They don't even know what a good traditional woman is. I see plenty of them here in Thailand, where a man comes here, doesn't have to simp anymore. I mean, as soon as you get off the plane, you and turn it on a dating app, you'll have literally 1, 2, 300 likes from a girl per each dating app that you have. Tables have turned. You are the prize now here. And women are very much aware of it. And still, these motherfuckers get off the plane and continue to simp for Thai women. And the ratio of a cute Thai girl to a decent looking a foreigner with money here is like 1,000 to 1. And yet they continue to simp. And what happens is, of course, they go for the better looking girls. I don't blame them. And they corrupt the fuck out of them. And this is why I say, you can no longer date a really good looking girl. All of the really good looking women have been simped for, no matter where in the world they are. I just visited a fucking Kenyan village in Africa. And, my driver who lives in that village basically said, listen, we have a single girl and she's a traditional woman. And if you're looking for one, nothing better than an African girl living in an African village. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And she was cute. My conversation with her was very short because she was already damaged by all of the social media she probably consumed, because that village does have Wi-Fi and that village does have a cell phone store to sell her a smartphone. So I was like, whoa, her list of demands was quite long, reasonable, but what she said she would have to offer was like, wow, if this is the attitude in a fucking village in Africa, that's it. That's it. So that's the reality that we live in, gentlemen. Okay. Now, The Rock says, from what I know, women desire more those men who have machismo. In Latin America countries, there is a big culture of machismo. Women also desire a bit the men with a dark triad personality. Listen, but men also desire, Victoria's Secret supermodels who are 22 years old, right? But we all have to live in reality. We are, happy. And I don't want to use the word to settle, because it sounds like, well, you should have gotten the Victoria's Secret model, but you're just going to, you know what I mean? But so I'm going to use the word prefer, because that's what the reality is. Men much more prefer women who may not be as good looking, like the girl that I featured earlier, but are great wives who give you peace, who appreciate you. things that a lot of these good looking women don't even know how to do anymore, right? Especially Western women. They just don't fucking know how to do that anymore. So it doesn't matter what women desire, right? Men desire, we all have to live in reality. Now, the problem is when women don't live in reality, and when men do, then those realities and this delusional universe that most Western women are in right now don't overlap much. But again, going back to your previous comment, or was it yours or someone else's? But the fact is that hopefully, uh, oh, there you go, that was for somebody else, right? So hopefully, we'll have enough of middle-aged women without kids, or single mothers who are middle-aged, ringing the alarm bells all over the social media and hopefully mainstream media one day, letting women in their 20s know to come back to the reality, right? Hopefully, some of them are mothers, single mothers, but nevertheless, who will sit their daughters down before it's too late and say, listen, don't be like me. Don't be like me, right? I am a single mother. You don't want to end up this way. Don't be a boss chick. Don't choose career over a man. Make sure you spend your 20s looking for a husband, because after that, it's going to be almost impossible, right? Look at me. I'm miserable. I'm by myself on Christmas. I go to bed by myself. This is not what I want. And look, all the men that I want someone like you, my daughter, right? Because, like, example, right? I'm 48. Most of the women I date here are in their 20s. And I'm not even like, I don't like, I'm not one of those guys like, oh, I gotta get myself a young one. I genuinely don't care. I will take a girl in her 40s if she's amazing, right? Or 30s. I don't have a problem with it. But women, mainly definitely here in Southeast Asia, who understand that they want to get a man who is a good provider, and all those things that American women used to want, they know they have to date an older man. I know a girl who is a Thai girl, but very much Americanized. She's 20. She's very young, and I've known her pretty much ever since I came here, because uh, she's part of the business that I have service. I'm trying not to make it sound dirty, but like she works at a coffee shop that I go to as a customer, and because she speaks English, we got to know each other very well. So she would tell me about her boyfriends, and but they're all like, she's dating boys, right? She was dating boys for a while, and now she's finally, what? I'm so done with that. I know this guy who is 38 years old, so almost double her age. You know, he's a customer here. He's always been, good to me. It looks like he's interested. I can see that, how well he dresses every day. I see how he talks. I got to know him a little bit, better. I would actually like a man like that rather than the boys that I'm dating, right? So she realizes that. So hopefully, right? And she is removing 2 tattoos that she has, right? So she went into that route and then realized, and I hope I, as somebody who talks to her regularly, had something to do with it. She realized that she actually wants to date real men and be a little bit more submissive, be a little bit more feminine, and date older men who are more of alpha male and are in charge, right? But who will tell them, right? Hopefully, the women in their 30s and 40s who realize that, that was not good. I think men's preferences are tied to women's fertility. Um, mm, well, I mean, I guess you can say that, but at the end of the day, it's much simpler than that, right? A young girl looks better than an older girl. That's just what it is. We don't, from our eyes all the way down there, right? It's almost always the case, right? So for many men to continue carrying out their family line is a big deal, big goal, and they would refuse infertile but also fat girls. Well, fat girls are fertile. You- You're right. So, but yeah, no, listen. I think it all comes down to beauty, and part of beauty is youth, right? Now, yes, I can see how it's tied to fertility, but at this point, I don't even know if I want to argue the logistics here. Yeah, men like younger, prettier girls. Would we still like, older girls who are still pretty, that kept up with their, gym routine, and know how to use makeup, and took care of themselves? Yes, like I said, I don't have a problem with that. I still find many. I mean, I know I date black women and Asian women, and they don't age as fast as white women, but nevertheless, you know, I would still take an older girl who maybe is not as youthful, but gives me peace, knows how to treat a man, knows my value, and so forth and so forth. So that to me is a much bigger value, right? So, all right, gentlemen, thanks for hanging out with me, and it's always the best part of my day. To answer some questions in the chat, but also I will continue keeping you updated if anything comes out of today's story, or any other stories that I've done. And tomorrow, I don't know actually which news story I'm going to cover. I thought I was going to do one about JD Vance, the VP of U.S. Vice President, but that story didn't really check out. So obviously, I'm not going to do it. I'm not KTLA to do a fake story about someone, right? So I'm going to go and do some research with my best friend ChatGPT, and see what I can bring you guys tomorrow. Other than that, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your